Hi, I'm William. This is the presentation for my summer game. Um, there were a few games I considered at first, so I don't know if these are some of the ideas that came up. One of the main ones was a first-person shooter set in a submarine, because we'd made like a submarine game previously for our Christmas game, but like that was a 2D game. But I felt like I could use like a lot of some similar like sound assets and stuff from that. But after kind of deciding kind of moving around in a submarine would be quite cramped, and I didn't feel that would kind of fit the platform or that kind of control scheme. It could get quite frustrating. So with that in mind, I decided to make a strategy game, because I feel that kind of control scheme and kind of having a turn-based would be a lot kind of it would suit the platform a lot more. But I've also come up with like a backup idea of like if the strategy game doesn't work out, then it would be a top-down shooter. But it has the same setting as the strategy game, so all of it would use all of the same meshes and textures and everything. So like it's just the coding that would have to change really. So it'll be quite late, and I could still change without having to redo any work. So the recommended specifications for the game, while I'm developing it for like an Nexus tablet, so obviously that'd be where you get the best experience, because something where I've ensure that you get the same experiences as I see. And obviously like there's stuff like you have to have enough space to have the game, and you'd have 4.1 or later, or Android 4.1 or later. Mainly because I'm going back into older and supporting bugs in older versions of Android. Minimum specifications, these are what Unity specifies. I think it technically would work on less than 512 megabytes of RAM, but I've seen a lot of people say that like it does start to throw up a lot of problems beneath that kind of value, and like technically it will work on Android 2.3.1, but like I said, like it's going to be a bug here kind of further back to go. The mood board for the game, the characters in this game will be kind of wooden toy soldiers. You can't really see quite clearly here, but so it'll be kind of if you think of kind of like a Nutcracker type character. I considered like other options, such as like kind of the classic kind of plastic toy soldiers, or kind of like a die cast kind of metal toy soldier. But I really felt like I wanted to make the game a little bit warmer, so I went with wood. And like here's a few pictures like I've taken of wood, and I'm just looking at different grains and stuff that I use, and I've been messing around with textures and stuff in Photoshop for how to implement that. For the environment, I'm planning on doing it in kind of on a grass or a lawn thing. So I have some grass textures there. I was considering maybe going for like having to move around on kind of like an old kind of worn map type thing, because I feel that would fit the character as well. But for now, I have grass textures. I know I can get that done in the time, and then maybe if I have additional time later, I'll have an option of swapping out different maps for different levels. As far as the level design goes, the terrain will be largely flat. There will be some obstacles, but it'll be kind of largely laid out like a MOBA map, without ability to go into the jungle area of the MOBA map. So it's basically once like an enemy balloon or whatever does move towards you, they're not just going to go in a straight line. They'll have to navigate around different islands and stuff like that in the map, and that should make it a bit more interesting rather than just dealing with straight lines. The mechanics of the game, it's going to be turn-based, and you're going to control groups of like 4 or 6 soldiers, and this will be one entity. So they'll have one collision mesh shared across the group, and then essentially like as they take damage, like one soldier would disappear. It's very similar to Civilization in that respect. And there'll be kind of 3 to 5 of these groups, depending on when I get into that, I'll be able to explain that a bit better. And and the player might be able to alter the number of troops because, just to adjust the difficulty of the game to make it scale. Like once they've gotten into playing the game, they can give themselves more of a challenge. You'll move each group individually and then press the button to end your turn. But your move won't be limited by a timer. I just felt like it's, when I play strategy games, I prefer to take my time, plan things out, and want to limit them, or the player. The score, once you've defeated the enemy, will be decided on the amount of turns you've taken to complete the game and how many troops you've lost. And also, hopefully you'll have an option to save your current game. I feel like with the combination of kind of turn-based and with the saving options, I think this would kind of take advantage of the platform, where unlike a lot of the time when playing on like mobile devices, it can be a bit more casual, or kind of like between like while you're on the bus or while you're waiting for something, so to be able to drop in and out of the game, I think that would take like advantage of the platform. How I plan to implement some of the features of the game. It's just a quick run over. I haven't gone too much into this, but in general I plan on using raycasting to select both the character, and then to select on a grid somewhere you'll be able to hit in that direction, and then the character with that coordinate will move towards that coordinate at a set speed for a certain amount of time, and that will limit the amount of movement that the character can do each time. So it'll be like a fixed distance that the character can move. I found that just wrapping my head around that idea a lot easier than trying to get the character to snap to a grid or how to approach that. So that's kind of the model I'm working at the moment. But also I'm hoping to do this in a top-down or isometric view, and hopefully this combined with like having like shared collision meshes for the whole group as opposed to like individual meshes will allow me means I'll be rendering less, so I won't have to worry too much about like render distances. So that combined, so with those two things combined, hopefully I'll be able to, like once the player does decide to scale up the amount of routes, like of soldiers, hopefully I'll be able to fit a fair amount onto the map, because as it'll be top down, you'll only be rendering a small section of the map, and the physics won't be too complicated because it'll be a flat map, and all of the groups will have like a shared mesh, so hopefully it wouldn't be too intensive, so I could fit more and more and more as they decide to scale the difficulty of the game. And through that rather quick actually, but in general I'm planning on spending only about like a week on modeling and texturing, because I plan to have essentially the same character for both sides, but with like just a different colour to the uniform and stuff like that. So like that will not take that long. Well, hopefully not. So I plan on spending a week on modelling and texturing, and then 2 weeks on rigging an animation, because like I hope to have the character have a few different like kind of stances. So like he'll have when he's idle, when he's healing, when he's moving towards the enemy, and then when he's aiming, and then obviously a firing animation. So yeah, and like I don't believe it will take a whole week to model the one character. So like obviously there's room to maneuver in this schedule as well. So hopefully I'll be able to get into that week as well. Then spend about 2 weeks on audio. Obviously I'm collecting the audio as I'm going along. It's not just in this in these 2 weeks that I'll be working on audio. I'll be collecting different sound samples as I go on, and this will be just 2 weeks or like week and a half for editing, and tweaking the audio until I want. 3 weeks for programming. As I said, like hopefully some of these will not take as long, but I've given them that amount of time anyway, just in case like unforeseen problems arise. But 3 weeks for programming, because obviously this is going to be the most intensive part of this game, and hopefully like ideally I'd like to borrow some of the time from those weeks as well. Then once I have the general mechanics of the game working, I'll then take a week and just do UI menus, and then like once I have the UI done, I'll just go back and add in like additional features if I still have time and do bug fixing, and bug fixing, and hopefully that'll be it.